Hey guys, it's Katie from Without a Crystal Ball. How are you guys? I hope you're having a wonderful day. We're going to talk about our latest episode of Sister Wives. We were on episode 12, which was ooh, this is a situation that is getting a little bit heated over at the Brown house. Now, throughout this season, we have been dealing with Cody and the wives trying to find permanent housing for their families. They had moved to Flagstaff. The beginning of the season actually started with them moving into their various homes. They moved Robyn into a home. They moved Mary into a home. Janelle and Christine purchased a home. It seems as though it's been a wild ride since the season started because now we are almost a year later and they are all in a position where Mary has had to move into a new rental, Janelle has had to move into a new rental, and now Robyn and Cody are having to make a decision about what they're going to do for their families. So the episode starts with Robyn and Cody talking about how they have only about 4 to 5 weeks before they need to find a place. So they have to actually get out of their rental. They have to get out. And they need to get out to look at homes. They go to look at a home that's for sale. It actually has 5 bedrooms. And Cody tells Robyn, this room looks like a great place for your dining set. Now, the outside exterior of this home, it is clear that this is the home that they ultimately end up purchasing. But they don't actually spend very much time in this home during this episode. It's kind of funny. But Robyn says that Cody is getting a little bit pushy, and he says that they have to get moving because they need to be able to qualify for the home, and they can't just sit there because it takes a while for things to close if you purchase a house. He says that he feels like they're starting to get outside of their window. He says that they need to make a offer so that they can get everything set up for closing. Then it pans to the other wives. And in an interview, Janelle says that she doesn't really understand why they have to buy because she just doesn't get it because long term that sort of goes outside of their plans. Mary says that she's really mixed about this because for her, it was easy for her to find a home. However, she says that for Robyn has specific needs and she is going to have some of her kids remain at home, meaning that her son and potentially Aurora may be staying at the home while they attend college. And because she has so many kids in her house, she needs a lot of bedrooms. Christine understands, and she says that it's frustrating that they would actually have to put money down into a home because that's exactly what she did. But she says that she couldn't find a rental for her family, so she also understands what's going on with Robyn and that potentially the only option would be for them to buy. Back to the home, and they're still going back and forth, and Robyn and Cody, they actually start talking about that they have to buy because they can't find any rentals. Cody actually says, Robyn, we've been looking for 3 full months. We need to buy a home or we need to move out of town. And then Robyn actually responds and says, this is not the part of our plan. Our plan was to rent and build out on that property. The one issue that's been going on throughout this entire season is that Robyn has been very fixed to this idea of they purchased the property on Coyote Pass and that their ultimate goal was that they were going to build. And Robyn goes on to say, our family culture is eroding. And she says that she feels like she can't let go of this plan because it's going to completely derail their options and looking to buy a home because it takes money out that she would put down on building. And she says that no matter what, she is going to wait for her miracle to happen. Cody, on the other hand, says that he is getting more and more edgy the longer they go without finding a place to eat, or not to eat, to live. He says that when he gets to this place that he can start to become not the nicest husband. He says he's doing all that he can to be kind, but he's angry and upset and that he isn't becoming a good person at this point. He said that he wants the kids to help convince their mother that they need to buy a home. So because he feels like he's been sort of pushed into a corner and he needs to make a decision, Cody's acting sort of, I don't even know, out of his mind would be a good place to start. But I don't know that it's necessarily out of his mind because Cody is not necessarily the most, I don't know, in his mind kind of guy. Anyways, they arrive at a new home and Cody actually tells Shelby, their real estate agent, that he's like, well, I might just have to buy this house without Robyn. And then he like goes down to their youngest daughter, poor little girl who's like 3 years old, Ariel. And he's like, Kody tells her, we need to buy a house. This house is for you and me, sweetie. This will be our house. Can you help me find a house for sweetie? And then Robyn, who's standing above Kody, and he's like, you will not use our kids as a pawn. No, this house is for all of us. So Kody, when they actually get into the house, Kody says that Shelby calls Kody an easy sale, and she thinks that Robyn is going to be the more difficult. Robyn, for her part, says that Kody is using Shelby as an ally, and like she feels like Shelby's gonna ultimately come at her and say, you need to go with your smart, intelligent husband because he knows more and that this is the right choice for your family, and she's not buying it. So Kody says that the property on Coyote Pass needs a lot of infrastructure and that they have a very large flood zone. And so because of that, they would need to put up, all of their sewer, their water, their electricity, everything. And he said that planning he didn't realize would take as long as it does. And he said, I was kind of stupid when we moved here because he didn't know how long it would take. And I thought, stupid now, Kody? You're stupid now? Oh, wait. Okay. At least you admitted it once. Now, Kody ends up actually making Robyn really upset because Robyn says that she's waiting for a miracle and she doesn't know how God would not give them this miracle because she says that God was telling them they needed to build out on Coyote. Kody, for his part, says that Robyn is being a very good plural wife and she's supporting the big picture. Her loyalty, the big picture of the family is great, but she's actually not taking care of herself or her kids. And so she's being a good plural wife, but she's not being good to her own children or her family, her like insular family. Now, we finally actually spend time away from Robyn and Kody. Yeah, I know. We spent the majority of this season on Robyn and Kody. But, there are other people involved in this show. And so we go to Christine, who's actually in Utah to visit Aspen. Aspen's actually moved back to Lehigh, which is where they had moved from 9 years ago. Aspen said that this was the great place for them to land after leaving Las Vegas. And she says that she's now closer to Mitch's family and her aunt Annie, or her grandmother Annie, who's Christine's mother. Christine tells Aspen about all the wives moving. She says, yes, buying was the wise choice for me, but we had to take a chunk of money away from building. And she said, we have done nothing on that property. She said, Robyn doesn't want to do this to her kids and to the family by having to buy. She wants to save the money for building. Christine actually admits that it's super expensive to do what they're doing. And she said that we didn't know that we wouldn't be breaking ground right away. Christine then goes on to make hummus and she says it's the best. And then she subsequently posted the hummus recipe on Twitter. So check out Christine's Twitter for the hummus recipe. Christine admits that they would all love to be back in Utah, but she says that the state of Utah, they sued them, and so they don't feel safe moving back there after they've sued them. And she said that they didn't talk. She said that once they made that choice, they felt like they could never go back to Utah. So now they're sort of like in this place where they have to be in Arizona, and they're going to make the best of it. So Christine then says that, and admits that the whole one house idea, like having that conversation with the sister wives and Kody, was really hard for her. She said, I didn't want to have to tell them I love you, but I don't want to live with you. Aspen's like, well, then what did she say? And then Christine's like, I love you, but I don't want to live with you. And then Christine tells the producer that she actually ended up squashing Kody's whole plan. And then the producer asks Christine and it says, well, he's still upset with you about that, isn't he? And she admits that Kody is actually still mad at her. And she's like, I am never talking about the one house idea again. I hate talking about it. So Christine says the hardest part for her is that she loves that Aspen's in Utah because she's by her family, but she says that they have absolutely no family in Flagstaff. Their closest family is 4 hours away, and the whole family wants to be back in Utah, but they can't be there. So then we go over to the wives and Kody in their interview, and they're actually talking with the producers about, like, when do you actually think you're going to move? And Janelle's like, I don't think we're ever going to happen. It's never going to happen. It's something that we talk about, but it's never going to happen. And then Mary's just like, I don't see it happening in the near future. And Kody's like, I'd say I'd give it 2 years, maybe. Christine says it isn't cheaper. They haven't saved any money, and they also aren't closer together at all. She said that she goes, it wasn't a mistake. It wasn't a mistake to move to Flagstaff, but yet nothing's actually working there. But she said it's where they want to be. They love being there, and they will get to their specific destination at some point. And that's all we see of Christine. Sad. Then we go back to Robyn and Kody. Joy. And they find a 7-bedroom that they're looking at, except this is outside of the school district that the kids go to. And so Cody's a little bit resistant to look at this, but he wanted to take a look at it because it had the amount of bedrooms that they might need. Now, I might note that throughout the season, they have talked specifically about 6 bedrooms. And I will also note that throughout this episode, Robyn did appear to be covering up something on her tummy. I don't want to speculate, but she hasn't looked this round in a while. I hope, for her sake, I'm not implying that she's, maybe held on to some of the weight from her last child, but it really does look like another baby could be coming. That was just my opinion. They actually start walking around the house, and that makes me wonder, is that why they're looking at a 7-bedroom? Got it? Got it. Okay. The house goes on forever, according to the realtor, because they had a lot of kids, and Robyn starts fantasizing that this home is actually for rent because she would rather rent it than buy it. Aurora tells Kody in the bathroom that they really like the house, and then immediately Kody, who instead says, yes, that's great, says, you'd have to move schools if you stayed here, or if we bought this house, you'd have to move schools. And then Aurora is like, what? And then Robyn's like, no, we are not talking about this. Don't stress out my kids. Which makes me wonder, why is it every time something happens, it's like my kids. They never say our kids. Robyn says that if the kids can't go to the same school then they can't look at this house, and that house isn't an option. And she said, don't freak my kids out anymore. Then Janelle and the women are back in their interview, and she says that Kody can be really ridiculous when he's under pressure, and he'll say things that he doesn't mean. And then subsequently you jump back to the girls, and they're literally in the bathroom, and they're on the verge of crying. And all the women sort of admit that Kody is a mess when he gets into situations like this. The third house obviously is outside of the school district, so they're going to have to see if the owner might allow them to rent, which is what they asked the real estate agent as they're leaving. The agent's just well, I don't really know. But Cody's this could be our last ditch effort. And then he actually says I'm starting to look like a bully to Robyn, which is interesting because this whole time I've actually felt like he's been looking this way, because he has been sort of browbeating her this entire time into buying a home when they still ultimately had some time to look for rentals. And she is so resigned and so frustrated that she's actually looking rather emotional and very defeated. So then we actually spend some time with Janelle. Oh wait, you mean there's another wife on this show? Yes, she's not Robyn isn't the only wife, even though she thinks she is. So Janelle is actually off to North Carolina, where she goes to visit Maddie, Caleb, and Axel. Maddie at this point is 7 months pregnant. The summer's there, and she brings Gabriel and Savannah with her as well. Maddie admits to her mom that she wants to have a home birth, but she doesn't think she can due to the legislation in the state of North Carolina. She also can't find a practitioner that's willing to help her at home. So she thinks that the only option will be for her to actually have the baby at a hospital or a birth center. So then they start talking about how Janelle's so Robyn had to, or Maddie's so Dad told me that, Robyn has to find a place again, and Mary had to find a place. And Janelle says, yes, Robyn is looking again, and, your dad really wants him to buy, and I really don't understand this. It kind of gives me a pit in my stomach when I think about Robyn buying. Janelle says that they are super religious people, and that since it's the only option being presented, they have to go with whatever they have. Savannah and Gabe are Janelle's kids, she says, after she starts talking about the house. And she says, so when she's with Maddie and there's talking about all of this stuff, she's looking at Gabe and Savannah, and she's I think about them as my kids, but then when I see Maddie as a mother, and she's this tireless, devoted, amazing mother, and she said, I wish I could have been like that, but I wasn't. So basically, sum it up, Janelle doesn't understand, isn't really on board, but admits that if they have to build or buy, they have to buy. And she thinks Maddie's an amazing mom, which I would agree. Okay, back to Robyn and Cody. Ugh. And now they're packing up the house that they're renting. And Robyn says that she likes the space of the third home because it had the number of bedrooms and bathrooms that they needed. She also says that Cody had wanted her to buy when they first moved near the same area that Christine moved to, which I reminded you guys in a stream last week is near their property on Coyote Pass. But she says that she refused. Cody says that they would need 45 days to close on the home and move. And he says that right now they only have 28 days till they have to be out of their rental. And Robyn is still totally unwilling to commit, and she doesn't know how to agree to any of the situations or any of the circumstances or any of the options that Cody brings up to her. They have to figure out, then they started going back and forth about whether or not they're going to ask this guy who owns a 7-bedroom home, whether or not he'll rent to them. Robyn says that she feels that Cody doesn't even want to ask the guy for rent because he wants to buy so badly. Robyn says she doesn't understand Cody's position at all. And then they start talking about the fact that Cody says to Robyn, well, I'm getting a different message now, like with the implication that the first message from God was that we need to build on Coyote Pass. Well, now the next message is apparently we need to buy. I didn't know that he can change his mind like that, but I don't know. I don't look up to their God. Robyn says sometimes when they move forward in lives, you kind of like start moving and things get super messy. And then that makes her wonder, like, is this God or did we just make a mess by ourselves? Robyn then starts crying because Cody's like, we gotta buy. And she gets to this place where she just literally can't even like think. And she's like, well, what if we just put like not a lot of earnest money down? Like we need enough. We could still just put a little money down and that way we could walk away, because she said that she would still want to be able to look for rentals if they only had to put like say a few $1,000s on when they signed the sales agreement. Then if they found a rental, they could walk away. Cody says that he's actually scared to ask about renting because Robyn says that she thinks that Cody is scared to ask the guy about renting because he might be afraid that he will say yes. Cody says that he doesn't want to do this because it's a cycle. He says that even if they get him to rent, it's always just this cycle of like, we're going to have to find a new place. We're going to have to find a new place. We're going to have to find a new place. And he says, knowing it's going to take, 18 to 24 months to build, he doesn't want to have to keep having them move every single year. So then he finally calls this guy and he's like, hello, Craig? And it's actually Curtis. And Curtis is like, no, this is Curtis. And he's like, ugh. Can't believe I called him the wrong name. I can, Cody. Anyways, Curtis isn't sure about whether or not he wants to actually like rent to them. He said he'd have to talk to his wife. He's like, well, Robyn wants to build and not buy, and I'm just gonna help my wife, and I can't force a square peg into a round hole, Curtis, and I just really want to do this for her, and this is like our last ditch effort, and blah 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 blah. And he's like got like just word throwing up out of his mouth. You know what I mean? Like it just doesn't stop. Anyways, Cody says that, there is a benefit to buying, but, he will figure out if they can rent. And he's like, even if it's like at midnight, you can just tell me, you can just let us know, I'm here and I'll pester you in 24 hours, and it's just like such an awkward conversation. Once he gets off the phone, he says, I can't believe I called him the wrong name. I'm the closer. Yeah, Cody, what have you closed lately? Anyways, after they hang up the phone, Cody then starts going at Robyn, and he's just like trying to explain to her that they need to buy a house. And Robyn's just like, I don't see benefits. I don't see benefits to buying. All I see is it's going to delay us moving and building out on our property. And then Cody, actually, this is where he cuts to, and he goes, she is not listening to me. If we were business partners, this is where we would part ways because I need to buy a house and she will not let me. Basically insinuating that if she does not buy a home, he will divorce her. So Robyn then admits, and she's like, you were pushing me to buy long before we ever had time to long before we ever had to buy. You were pushing me to buy when we still had time to look to rent. And then Cody's just saying like the market isn't sustainable for renting because it's such a hot buyer's market. So anyways, Robyn says that she doesn't want to use the money to buy versus building for the 18 millionth time. Kody says we need 18 to 24 months to build, blah, 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 blah. We have to make an offer. We have to make an offer. We'll make an offer. So she doesn't want to make an offer and be serious. So Robyn says that she will not be serious until she has no other option. She said, I will sign if I have to. And then Kody's like, I don't want to force you to sign. And she's like, I can't say yes. And then, Kody's like, we have 2 days to make a decision so that we can close on time. So Kody's like, so do we agree? And she's like, I can't say yes. I'm not committed to this plan. I'm not invested emotionally. I'm not going to say yes. I'll say sure. Sure is still yes, Robyn. She's basically saying that she's not going to be happy. Like she's going to reluctantly doing this. And then Kody's like, this is so damn ridiculous. We're just rehashing the same damn crap. What the hell? I could have stayed in Vegas. We could have saved a fortune. I mean, he went like Neanderthal there. And then again, she starts crying and crying and crying. And then she's like, can we just make sure that the earnest money is low so that we can still keep looking for rentals? And then Kody's just like, yeah, fine. Okay. And then he's just like, I don't know what else to say. And then in an interview, he basically admits that he bullied Robyn into submission to buy the house. So next week, we will see what's going on between Kody and Meri. Mary's house is actually in an area that there was some, she has to be evacuated due to some unforeseen situations with the weather and some fires. So she's stressing out. That will be next week, next episode. This season's actually longer than last season. It looks like there's going to be several more episodes because in the season like sneak peek, there was teasers about Meri and Kody going to therapy, and we still haven't even reached that part yet. So it'll be interesting to see how this all plays out. I think that Robyn is really sticking to her guns for her family. She feels betrayed by Kody. Kody is basically just like trying to get his way. He's using his wives. He's using his kids. He's trying to use anyone to force her to do what he wants. I don't like that. But I also see his point of view that they need a place to live. I think they made a terrible decision buying this property, not understanding the complexities. But hey, this is the Browns. They're not known for making the best financial choices. And now they still have this property. They purchased it almost 2 years ago, and there's nothing happening on this property, by the way. As of today, it's still vacant. Nothing's going on. So that's where we're at. Let me know what your thoughts are about this episode. Were you surprised by his behavior? Were you surprised that once again he threatens to actually divorce her if she doesn't buy? And what do you think about her actually standing up for her family and standing up for herself? I feel like at some point these two are going to end up in a divorce. I just see it. I don't see them staying together. Robyn's already been divorced once. And I don't think that she's going to tolerate this kind of behavior much longer. But that's just my opinion. There's nothing actually showing me. And I'm still wondering if she is pregnant because she really did look like she was hiding a bump this entire episode. If I'm wrong, I apologize. But that was just my perception. You can look back through all of her different shirts and it definitely seems like something is being hidden. Just my thoughts. All right, you guys, let me know what your thoughts are. Did you like the episode? What do you think about Kody? Did you not watch? Or are you just watching for my recaps? Let me know. All right, you guys, I'll be back later with more. Bye.